Honkai Impact 3 is a hack-and-slash character-based gacha game created and published by Hoyoverse in 2016. It features a cast of beautifully designed characters, straight-up anime-worthy cutscenes, a superb story that I personally think to be one of the greatest stories in fiction as a whole, and flashy, satisfying third-person Devil May Cry/Bayonetta-style combat system. A post-Honkai Odyssey, or APHO for short, is a side story that takes place years after the end of the main storyline of Honkai Impact 3. It was announced as DLC for the game back in 2020, and it was the first revolutionary update that the game had since its release. In this video, we'll be diving into what I think makes this side story stand out from your typical gacha game side mission, and why I think it's reshaped the future of Honkai Impact and Hoyoverse as a whole. I am Imaginary Watcher, and this is why I think a post-Honkai Odyssey to be genius. A post-Honkai Odyssey's combat system came as a pleasant surprise to all Honkai Impact's players. Ever since its release, the game was mostly sticking to its horizontal gameplay of dodging and attacking. Jumping was only possible during some scripted story maps or special events. So when it was revealed that in a post-Honkai Odyssey's game mode, characters are able to leap in the open world, performing jumping attacks, aerial attacks, and do full combos mid-air, it was as huge as it sounded, adding a new depth to the combat system and making it less about button mashing and more about learning combos and knowing when to stick to the ground and when to take to the skies. Not only that, but with the jumping mechanic, players were able to explore vertically on the map, which was capitalized upon in certain boss fights and during some puzzles. The new enemies implemented in this game mode were also magnificently designed in a way that they explored the limits of the system they crafted. For example, there are flying enemies who shoot stuff at you that you have to get rid of first, or they molest you throughout the whole encounter while you're trying to deal with the ground enemies. There are heavy enemies who come with a shield that can only be broken by either using the explosives on the map or your heavy hitting characters, and there are enemies who can only be dodged by jumping rather than dashing. It all coalesces into this beautiful dance of a fight where everything both looks and feels great. Of course, no matter how good the combat system is, it wouldn't be fun if the characters you're using are trash. So let's talk about the available characters in APHO. Firstly, we have the MC. Commonly named Adam in the community, he uses a great sword and has both heavy attacks that can damage lesser enemy shields and light attacks that can be used to combo off. His ultimate inflicts a burning status effect on the enemies to drain their HP. Then we have the all grown up and gorgeously designed Raiden Mei. She uses a katana, of course, and her attacks inflicts paralysis on the opponent. Her moves are fast, light stings that deal damage and deal with some enemies who have hit-based shields. Also, she is easily the most airborne character out of the three, because her combo attack makes her dash towards an opponent, delivering a powerful blow that can be followed upon with other slashes to rebuild the combo attack once again. And finally, we have Tanned March 7th. Carol. Carol uses heavy gauntlets. Her attacks are the slowest of the three, but have the most shield breaking capabilities. Also, she can grapple enemies with her QTE, dealing massive damage and repositioning herself for the next move. With their moves and skills, the playstyle always feels fresh. It doesn't get dull after one too many missions because every combat will be different than the last. You'll find yourself switching in characters, breaking shields, inflicting debuffs, and yeeting enemies off a bridge and just feeling cool while doing it. Now that we've seen how post-Honkai Odyssey changed the rules of the game and breathed a new life into the combat system, we can finally talk about the impact this update had on not only the game it was designed for, but the future of Hoyoverse as a whole. What I mean by that is how it gave the company confidence to experiment a bit more with their projects, and shortly after, we got to see the results. A few months after a post-Honkai Odyssey's release, Genshin Impact was published by Hoyoverse as their first ever open-world standalone game. And while many things were lost from the transition between APHO to Genshin, a lot of features managed to stay between the two games. For example, vertical exploration was heavily implemented in Genshin Impact, with jumping being the least of it. They added climbing, gliding, and swimming, but lost the aerial combat system that their previous open-world project had, which I personally think was a big downgrade for Genshin Impact. Another thing which was kept from a post-Honkai Odyssey to Genshin is the customizable MC. And I say customizable very loosely here, because the only thing you could change about them is their name, with Genshin Impact giving you more options with the character's gender being decided by you. However, I think that was actually a downgrade from a post-Honkai Odyssey, since the MC there at least has some semblance of personality, which the game further emphasizes by giving you reputation points for choosing the in-character dialogue options, while Genshin Impact doesn't really care what dialogue options you choose most of the time. And wouldn't you know it, having the characters in the story respond to you according to your choices rather than not makes you more interested in what's happening to them and who they are. Which brings me to the next major point of this video. You are a member of a Shixel squad deployed to a city named Saint Fountain in order to investigate the disappearance of the second Herrscher of Reason and the Sovereign of Anti-Entropy, Wei Tiang. Upon arriving, you are greeted with an unexpectedly empty city, corrupted by strange red crystal formations and never-before-seen mechanical monsters that try to imitate human forms blindly. You explore for a bit, trying to figure out what's happening, coming across a transmission in the process.
Yokoso, 天上の人。君が訪ねてきた目的を当ててみようか。進捗？ああ、やはりそうか。心配はない。すべてうまくいってるよ。ああ、言っても君にはわからないか。そうだ、君に人類の言語を教えよう。最初に目標を理解すれば、その後も様々なことに代用が効く。すべての理解は言語から始まるんだ。まず君に名前を与えよう。名前、君にふさわしい名前。ルケニはどうだ？うん、君はルケニだ。これは資格の名前だ。君にふさわしいだろう？これが君の役割だと僕は思ってる。計画が完成したとき、僕は死ぬ。君が僕を監視するなら、最後まで監視をしなければならない。面白いではないか。天上の人が僕にどんな死を用意してくれているのか楽しみだよ。焦る必要はない、ルケに。もう少ししたら君にもわかるよ。
And there you go. You have your players, your stage, your goal, and your mystery to solve. I was honestly surprised at how subtle yet perfect the writing for this part actually is. Simple yet very interesting, something that I like to compare to Honkai Star Rail's beginning. You're still your own carrier, awakened by two outlaws, and left for your own devices for some reason. Then you meet your friends and go on an adventure. You have your mystery, your goal, your setting very clear from the start, in a way that doesn't reveal all the cards at once or make the player overwhelmed by what's happening at the same time. Compare this to Genshin Impact's intro, for example, where you're immediately thrust into a fighting scene between people you don't know and you're told to pick one of the blunt twins and watch hopelessly as your sibling gets captured in front of you and you get smitten from the skies and down to the earth with you, and all of a sudden there is an unknown amount of time being skipped and you apparently fished up this creature who can fly and speak and act like a person and are herded towards the nearby nation of Mondstadt to start looking for your sibling. Then you get involved with the dragon business and the Knights of Favonius, and what the fuck is happening? What is going on? What is going on here? In the end, I would like to talk about part 2 of Honkai Impact's story and the relevance of a post-Honkai Odyssey to it. We were told that the story of part 2 will take place 2 years before a post-Honkai Odyssey and around 5 to 6 years after part 1.5, so connecting the dots will be crucial to understanding the grand scheme of the plot, be it as you are an old player who still hasn't played a post-Honkai Odyssey or a new player coming for part 2. Playing a post-Honkai Odyssey is recommended. If you are a new player but who are willing to go through part 1 of the story as well, then you are better off waiting until you beat the chapter titled Thus Spoke Apocalypse for maximum hype. With that, I thank you all for watching. This was my first ever YouTube video, so please press the like button and subscribe for more content like this. This was Imaginary Watcher, and I'll see you around.
二人は後ろを振り返ることなく戦場に向かった。この最初から悲劇だと決まっていた物語では誰もそのことに迷ったり動揺したりしていなかった。彼らがそうあったように僕たちもそうである。